Yes, yes, yes. Yes, welcome to the show today. Educators Wellness is our topic today. Actually, wellness schools is our topic today. I'm joined here on this in the studio with Lola Manuel Williams and Dr. Monica Caffey. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show. How are you?
Fantastic.
Well, what did you say?
Fantastic. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, right?
Happy
Happy
Friday.
Friday. Lola said something. Lola, what did you say?
I said, indeed, happy Friday.
No, happy Friday. All right. I thought you said that you were stressed or tired or something.
Oh.
Let's keep it real. It's okay. Um,
I was tired. It's the end of the week, and I'm just glad it's Friday.
exactly. Friday for me, Friday is not because the only day I don't work is Sunday because we have schools on Saturday too.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that everybody's here. I hope everyone at we are showing on YouTube and we are also on the Educators Wellness Retreat page or group. So please, ask your friends, make sure you join us. We want you to join us. So, text somebody, let them know that we're here, we're live, and we're going to be having this conversation. Mr. King Benjamin um, is still en route, is stuck in Nigerian traffic. Uh, do you know I actually wrote a paper which I need to submit to be peer reviewed at some point on traffic induced trauma. Uh, yes, traffic induced trauma. It's a thing. It's a notion in Lagos. Because you literally could sit in traffic for 8 hours, and so that is something that. So I wrote that paper. So I understand what he's talking about. He texted and said, I'm stuck in traffic. I don't know when I'm going to be able to log in. So, well, if he does, he'll join us. If not, the three of us ladies have this. We are here today to elucidate. We're here today to listen. We're here today to move forward from where we are. And we're also going to talk about our manual that's coming out in May, the Educators Wellness Manual. We're going to talk about that. It's a training manual, and so we'll have that conversation today. It's good to see you, Lola. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Dr. Kafi, Monica, how you doing?
I'm doing really, really well. I told you this Friday has got me so motivated just to be able to talk about educators and wellness because all week with these reopenings, this is what everybody needs. I'm sending these links out. I am encouraging all the educators to please join us. This is for me, the most authentic space for us to be truly transparent, literally give out information that I know will touch and transform a lot of the educators and improve their well-being. So
Absolutely.
I'm fired up.
Absolutely. Yes, I can hear it. Keep that energy up. Absolutely. I can hear that. Okay, so how about you, Lola? What you bringing today?
Well, I mean, I always bring the best of me everywhere I go, but I know that with all of the action happening, in schools, everybody's getting busy with getting back into teaching. Students are coming in. I know that the stress levels are increasing in that they have assignments to catch up with, they have exams to do. There's a little bit of a rush, a pressure that is coming. But with that is also coming an understanding that we've got to be a little bit more accommodating for, what's happened in the pandemic. So I love the fact that I can be a more balancing a ball. I could be a more calming influence on what is going on in the college or what is going on in the school or what is going on in the environment. I understand some of the pressures that they are facing, but I also understand that those pressures have to be relieved. You have to find a way to just kind of make them feel it's going to be okay. So with that understanding, I don't add to the pressure. I enable them to release the pressure. So that's what I'm bringing today, to let people understand that we have to be a little bit more mindful of what's going on in the minds of students and also our colleagues, so that we can support them.
Absolutely. I love what you said about you're not adding to the pressure, but you are a calming presence.
Yeah.
That's really important. And when we ask people, or when people ask, what can I do? I mean, I'm just a teacher in the classroom. I don't have much influence. I don't know what people are, I don't write policies. I'm not part of the decision makers. What can I do? Well, the one thing you can do as a classroom teacher, as a teacher assistant, as any member of staff, the one person, you can take care of yourself.
Yes.
You can take care of you, because like Lola was saying, if you can take care of you, and then it means that you are bringing to the environment, to the space, a whole person, a calming presence, a healing presence. We say something that in my profession, we say that we heal in the context of therapeutic relationships. That's where we learn to heal. That's where we learn to do what we do, right? And so if one person in that space is well, there's a way they can help balance the people around them, or give them permission to also be well. Does that make sense, Miss Williams?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does make sense.
Okay, excellent. So today we're going to talk about schools and how, because people are going back to school now. We're talking, some people, we know there's a projection that we're talking about the fall in the United States, but some people have already starting next month. They're going back to school. The school districts are having conversations about this. In colleges and and universities are talking about this. They want to know, will the staff be ready to come back? Are we going to make vaccines mandatory? All these conversations are being had. I can tell you how many surveys I've already completed in the past few days. Trying to know what are your thoughts? What do you think? What's going to happen? So this thing, I know people are grappling with it. But while we're having those conversations, let's not forget that trauma that we've experienced this past year and a half or so is not just all of a sudden going to go away. So we have to make sure that our schools are ready academically. That's fine. Right. Our teachers are professionally prepared. That's great. You get all your lesson plans, you get all your curriculum, everything. That's good. Pedagogy, all of this, we understand it, right? However, as you're dealing with teacher trainings and administrator retreats, all of these things that we do as educators, let's not forget to the wellness of our educators. Let's not forget to implement a space that is safe, a space that is healing for the educators and the students, because we have research upon research that tells us, not just schools, that for workplaces that are trauma informed, or workplaces that are trauma informed trained, or who care about the emotional wellness of their employees, they have a higher return on their investment. Their employees stay longer, they reduce attrition rates, they're more inclusive. So there's so many good reasons why schools should think about embracing mental wellness on their campuses. So let me start with Miss Lola, because she has worked, like I've said several times, she's worked from elementary, early years all the way to as a university instructor. So a lecturer. So one of the things I want to ask you is how, if you're a teacher or an educator watching us right now, and you're like, I want my school to open. I'm talking about, it could be a private school, or I want my school is going to open up. How do I make that school a safe school? How do I prepare to make that school a safe school from your own purview?
Okay. So, it starts with you. I mean, what makes a school is everyone. It's the teachers, it's the non-teaching staff, it's the managers, it's the leaders, it's the students, it's the parents. Going back into school, or into the educational setting, whatever educational setting it is going to require calmness, your calmness, because they're going to come at you, the expectations, and sometimes a lot of unrealistic expectations are going to come at you from all kinds of directions. They want you to teach, deliver, make sure your students are passing. They want you to plan, or the lesson plans must be fantastic. Everything must be tied to COVID, or at least the pandemic. You need to be on point. You need to be relevant. At the same time, you need to be informing the parents. You need to be superwoman or superman.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to happen, because you're only one person. So going in with a mindset of, I will take myself in to support, to help where I can, and where I can't, I am not going to kill myself. That's the first thing. Because if you are stressed, like I've always said, if you're going in as a sick, stressed teacher, you're going to give what you have. You're going to pass that on to the students. You're going to pass that on to your colleagues. So I'll say to the educator, go in with the mindset of, I'm going in with, what I have. I don't have all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give what I have. I'm going to add to what I have gradually. And when I face a problem, I'm going to reach out for help.
Absolutely.
This is a very simple issue, because if you go in stressed out with, you're going in with that anxiety already that, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do this, we got to do that. And then you're totally useless in school and you're useless at home. So you've got to, pace yourself, recognize your own limitations, and then have a mindset of, what I can do, I will. What I can't, I'll reach out for help. Simple.
Absolutely.
You're not going to be seen as incompetent just because you don't have all the answers. You're not going to be seen, and even if you think that you are, you won't be, because this is, again, a very pressurized environment. We cannot have it all. And not lastly, but the second thing I want us to think about when we go in is keeping ourselves safe. So you wear your mask, you wash your hands. Yes, you're speaking to teachers, you're speaking to parents, you're speaking to children. You get them to wear their mask. You enforce those rules, because if you get sick, then you're totally useless to anyone, including yourself. So you got to make sure that you're safe mentally. The pressure that can come at you, make sure that you don't have unrealistic expectations at you. That's one. The second thing is the physical thing that you could do, and maybe actually that's the first thing that you need to do, is to make sure you're wearing your mask, you're washing your hands, you're enforcing the mask wearing and the social distancing with your students, so that you protect them and you protect yourself.
Absolutely. Wear your mask. Make sure you smile underneath the mask too, right?
Well, your eyes always do the smiling, don't they? I mean, I can tell when somebody's smiling, because
your eyes do, because if you're frowning under that mask, we will know, because it's going to show. Make sure you're smiling. Make sure you have a smile. Your students will know, because the mask doesn't cover the affect. Your affect, your energy is still something that is palpable. We can
And your
see it
voice
and we
and your
can feel it.
tone.
And your tone.
Your tone
Absolutely.
and your voice. That doesn't, but the mask is important because this is still out there and people are forgetting. In the UK now, we have opened our doors and everybody's going outside, everybody's getting sun, everybody's, but they're forgetting that this is still out there. So we still have the responsibility of protecting ourselves and reminding people that the pandemic, that the COVID issue is still out there. So we don't want a third, a fourth, a fifth wave. We want to protect. Keeping safe is not just the physical, it's not just the mental, it's holistically. What do we do as a practitioner, as an educational, holistically? We have to think about it all, including ourselves.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. So Dr. Caffey.
Lola, yes, go ahead.
Go ahead. Just go ahead and jump in.
Well, I was going to say, Lola, always for me sums up what the reality is in a classroom environment. Absolutely. And I thought about how we connected in the manual, and I look at the dimensions of educational wellness. And those dimensions literally break down everything that Lola says, but I wanted to share them. It's like 8 components to this that incorporates what Lola was just communicating. We're looking at the emotional, the teacher coming into the classroom. That's the first one. Your awareness about really how you're feeling. Are you comfortable or not, and what that is prior to going in. And getting the support before you go in is really how you'll show up, and your awareness connects with that. The environment that you talked about. Pretty much everybody talked about the environmental safety of the school, the classroom in regards to making sure that we are physically from COVID protected. The PPE is all in place, but nobody's talking about the environment that's dealing with any type of stress that may be a part of the room, of the atmosphere on the campus. If there's fear, if no one has been talking about anxiety that's coming in and what that's like, or if they're not feeling that the school has already done everything that they can to protect, the environment plays a major role. Then we have the intellectual. All the educators spend so many hours preparing. And you're looking at what is going to be new, what is going to be innovative. I think we share this, in our first education awareness. What can you bring that will keep you engaged, reinvigorated in the profession, and start anew? This is an opportunity that
Absolutely.
So intellectual capital is so key. Obviously, the physical. We talk about how our mental wellness and our physical wellness go hand in hand. Take time to drink that water. Dr. Marino, you had the cup last week. I wish
the whole thing. Oh, yeah.
Have your water, stay hydrated, make sure that you're eating nutritional foods and getting the proper rest. All of that connects to the emotion. And then the social. How are you and your colleagues engaging? What's taking place with the administration? Are there expectations and demands that are being placed upon you that may seem to appear harder than the last? And if so, how are you all supporting each other in cultivating and reducing that environmental and physical space? The spiritual aspect. We haven't talked about that much, but I can tell you, all of us on this panel truly know the power of the spiritual. Dr. Marino, you had mentioned last time your thoughts and what you're thinking and how you wake up and show up in the day is so key to that spiritual connection and centering yourself and, taking time to pray if that's what you do, meditate, do the things before you get in the classroom, because even behind all of this will show up if you don't. The occupational part. We talked last week was so powerful about the stress of education and teachers and the demands, what is required, and looking at the occupation. But now to me is a time that the occupation, just like you all are the frontline workers of the future.
Absolutely.
The educator is the front line. And with that, the community has to nurture the front line. So we are here to support that. And I feel very powerful. The last time is a financial. That is another aspect that normally is never addressed in educational wellness. And I am a big advocate for educators getting compensated for the work
Absolutely.
that you
Yes.
do. And this comes into the realm of our policy. Dr. Marino knows that we advocate for changing all these systems and really speaking to your worth. Not being afraid. If you haven't, gone to your leadership administrators and said, I really need a pay increase, now is the time to do it, because a lot of resources have come into the school system, not only to, like I said, to take care of your safety, make sure you return, but you can request that in that, doing this extra work and having to, make sure that everything is okay, you deserve the compensation, the financial compensation to be able to to continue on and grow in what you're doing. So that is the 8 dimensions of educational wellness I wanted to share today.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for this, for sharing the dimensions with us. So appreciate that. And when you were talking about spirituality, I thought absolutely, because when WHO defined a mental wellness, mental health, one of the what in before it was only in 3 dimensions. It was psychological dimension, emotional dimension, and social dimensions, right? But they added the spiritual part component to it years ago. So you can describe psychological well-being without saying that you have to be emotionally sound, psychologically sound, and socially sound,
Right.
and spiritually well. So those are the components of psychological well-being. So I'm glad that you brought it up. Spirituality is one of the things that grounds us, and is one of the things that keeps us safe. And so that's pretty good. I'm just excited to see all the people who have joined us on Facebook. And so I'm reading some of the comments here, just to read out loud for all some of our people. One of what the user said, "Hello everyone," so I would say hello back, hello. And someone said you must be passionate about being a teacher, because we're talking about how are you going to create a safe, well school. Well, one of the things is be a passionate teacher. And someone said you must be aware of your strengths and emotions and be able to leverage on other sorry, I can't, something came up. Okay, and to be able to be, I just lost that. And you must be aware of your strengths and emotions and be able to leverage on other people's emotions. Be aware of other people's emotions. So basically, not just care about yourself, but be aware. Be aware of what's going on. Somebody said choose joy intentionally. So we're having, choose joy intentionally. Be intentional about impacting your colleagues and other students. Very good. And then we would love to see your comments. Okay, yeah. So those are good. Those are very good feedback. We appreciate I appreciate you sending those comments in. Um, when you talk about psychological well-being, one of the areas, there's subjective well-being and there's objective well-being, right? There's the subjective well-being where you choose happiness in form of what you like to do. I love to eat ice cream. I love to eat cake. I love to swim. I love to do this. Those are subjective. The reason they're subjective is because you can live off them. You can't eat ice cream the whole year. You can't go swimming every single minute of the day. So we need other measures that are more in that are more objective, that we can measure, and that becomes foundational for your life. And one of those, I'm not going to go through all of them, but one of the things, based on what both of you have talked about, is purpose and meaning. That's part of the criteria for finding for psychological well-being. So when we're talking about a school and you're going to school, somebody said you have to be passionate. So you have to be passionate about your job. You have to find joy in your job. Well, if there is no meaning, and if you're not finding purpose in this job, in this profession, then you're not going to show up as the best of you. the best thing you can do, and no matter what we say, the best thing you can always do is to show up as the best version of yourself, the best version of your real self, not your pseudo self, but your real self. And I don't have time to, you know, to actually talk about all of that, but just know that your real self is the person that is good, is the person that has all of the goodness and the wellness already in them. It's not outside of you, it's already inside you. Your pseudo person is what has been created by trauma, by stress, and it's functional. It's functional, but not the real you. So we have, as we're moving forward in life, we have to begin to examine ourselves, because the first thing I want to say, I always tell people is, if your life is not examined, if you have an unexamined life, then you'll never know the real you. You're going to be living on a borrowed life, on a life that is pseudo. And so we can unpack all of that today. Come to the workshop to learn about that. However, as we're talking in relationship to school, so if you have an administrator who is living a pseudo life, if you have an instructor who is living a pseudo life, a functional life, when you have those people taking care of whatever it is, the students, administration, anything that they're taking care of, they cannot show up for greatness at that school. They cannot. It is just impossible, because you cannot give what you don't have. You can't. I think Ms. Williams talked about that today. You cannot give what you do not have, right? And so the first thing we would like for everyone to commit to is to examine your own life, your purpose, your meaning. And look, when you do this, be graceful to yourself, but be very real to yourself. Know the things that you struggle with, all right? And determine that coming this year, this school year, is a new start. I love new beginnings, because it's a new start. So which means that I can be better this year, not just for the school, but for myself. Remember, I was talking about the full cup last week, although this one is not full today. But when you have a full cup, right? That full cup is for you. The overflow is for others. So as a teacher, as an educator, as a lecturer, a professor, as a resource person, anyone, and no matter what your position is, we need you to be full of goodness, full of grace, full of joy, full of know what life is about, know where you're going. Then that school can benefit from you. Now, getting there, one of the other things is job crafting. So you're saying, oh, I don't know so much about, you're like, I don't know about this purpose and meaning. I'm just trying to get by. I'm just trying to live a life. I really don't know, about this purpose and meaning. I like to teach. I don't know if it's my purpose. They don't pay me well. Dr. Akin Benjamin was telling us last week about some Nigerian teachers who are not getting paid. They've had pay cuts and things like that. So you go to work because you have to, not because you want to. These things are happening, right? And all over. And so when you show up in that form, you're not good for anybody. You're not good for yourself. You're not good for your students. You're not good for anyone around you. So let me just share about this notion of job crafting. Okay, so when we talk about job crafting, which is this idea of finding and creating meaning and happiness through the work that you have right now, to your current job. It's the whole idea about restating, reaffirming, reconstructing the job that you have in order for it to align with your vision and mission. And so I think I was sharing about, if you are a janitor, for example, don't forget about it. If you're a janitor at the school, you're a janitor at the school, or you're a resource person at the school, or you're a clerk at the school, and you're like, well, this is not what I want to do with my life. I'm just, I'm just showing up to collect a paycheck, all of this stuff. When you show up that way, you're no good for yourself or other people, right? So job crafting is the whole notion of what is your purpose in life? What is your mission in life? So let's see if we can craft this job in such a way that it aligns with your mission and your vision. So instead of you thinking yourself as I'm just a janitor, okay, or I'm just a resource person, you then look at it in different ways. You can say, well, my vision is to empower people in life. I want to be my own CEO. I want to be whatever I want to be in the future. But right now, I am connected to a bigger vision of helping students attain their goals, of having a clean classroom so that these people can learn. Because without me, they're not going to be able to learn in a clean classroom. So you craft a job in such a way that it aligns with you. And let's say you're stuck in computer room doing something, and you like people facing, but you are a computer IT person who doesn't get to mingle. Well, part of your job crafting would be I'll go to work a little bit earlier, or or during my lunchtime, or during my break time, or after school, I will go network with other teachers, or I will find a way to start an after school activity so I can have so my needs are met. So job crafting is a win-win situation. So nobody has to lose for you to win. So as you go into this school year, as we're opening up the school, going back to school, some people are having trepidations about, well, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I don't know this. Job crafting is your friend. Job crafting is your friend. Take a minute and begin to see, what do I like about the job? What is my goal? What is my purpose? And find meaning in the job. When you find meaning in the job, you do so much better. You show up differently. You outspend yourself, and people are able to benefit from you. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. Excellent. You're muted. Oh, I can't hear you, Doctor. I think you're saying something. I can't hear you guys. Okay.
Yes, it makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? So,
That's right.
and this could be anybody, from the wherever, any staff member, anybody you can do this job crafting. Just take a few minutes and begin to look at how you can find meaning in the job. Because once you find meaning, it doesn't mean you're not going to get where you want to get. You get to it, you just become a better person, and you get where you need to get without being bitter, without having all this negative energy that follows, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing I'm going to drop. Anything else? Any piggyback on that?
Can I just add to that? And I always say to staff, because you always come across staff members or teachers or colleagues who say, oh, I'm tired of this job. I don't get anything out of it. I always say to them, look, this job, the experience that you're getting on it is going to be useful in the future for something else. You could say, well, I taught with this age group. I worked with these particular parents. I worked with these particular children. It's going to benefit you. So there's always positives in a negative situation. if you in an uncomfortable place where you feel, oh, I'm just giving everything, I'm not getting anything back, you can leave that job knowing that you gave your best, one, and two, you gained something from it. It might be the place that you could say, well, yes, I have experience with doing this or doing that. It might be where you could say, yes, I've worked with this age range before, even though you never liked working with that age range. It might be the opportunity for you to be able to tell somebody, yes, I have experience doing that, this, and this. So there's always something that you can gain and you can take away from any job, even if you don't like it. Lastly,
Absolutely.
I always say to people, leave well when you're leaving a job. Leave well. Don't burn the bridge as you cross it, because you know, this educators,
Yes.
that's how we roll. There's no place I can't go back to that I've worked in. No place that I'm still not in touch with them. No place I've worked where they can't say, oh, Miss Williams or Sister Williams or Lola, please, can you tell me how to do this, this, and this? We're still in touch. That's how we are. We're educators. We're not, people who take, grudges and then, oh, I'm not talking to this. That's not how we roll. We're professionals. And so make yourself a good resource so that everyone can always feed, and you can also feed of other people. So it's important, what you're saying about this job crafting issue. I may not have the vocabulary for it, but it's fantastic, because that is actually the best way to make sure that you stay a professional. That's your CPD, that's your continuous professional development. You're constantly learning. Even though you don't like certain things, you're constantly learning how to do certain things and why certain things don't work. That's how you roll. So I would suggest that we take that as a major aspect, because this is a time when people are returning to work and a lot of people are resigning. They are resigning, they're moving into other careers, they're moving. And I think, with teaching, you're always going to be a teacher. So even if you moved into,
you're always a teacher for life.
You're just a teacher. You're just going to be doing the same thing. So just take a minute, like you said, like Dr. Marino said, take a minute, sit back, think to yourself, what is it that I don't like? What is it that I like? We talk about doing smart, you talk about doing smart targets all the time. Well, this is a real life situation. You're not going to like 100% of your job all the time. There are going to be challenges. So what do you do to take with you from every situation the best that you can, and then you learn from it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Coffee, when we're talking about creating wellness spaces or wellness schools, it's not everything that we've identified right now. Those are good. Those are good things that everybody should, good qualities, good skill sets that everyone should adopt. But if as a school, you are intentional about wanting to create safe schools or create trauma-informed schools or mental health sensitive schools, whatever you want to call them, the first thing I want you to know, I know on the continent of Africa, for example, in Nigeria specifically, because that's where I've been working in the past few years. That's the nation I've been working in the past few years, and in terms of setting up and helping with policies and all of the things surrounding mental health. And so I do know that it is a new phenomenon. It is a new concept. Some people are still not bought into it. So when you use the term mental health schools, people are thinking, we need to pay teachers, we need to find money for books, and now you're talking about mental health. You can put the mental health somewhere else. That's not putting food on my table. This is not doing what I needed to do. So when we're talking to that particular audience, they hear some of the things that we're saying, and they're like, well, that's all good and well, but tell me when I'm going to get paid, or tell me if I'm going to have a job tomorrow, because and all of those concerns matter. All of those concerns matter. But could you speak to why a school should focus on this particular topic that we're talking about, mental health spaces, wellness schools? trauma-informed schools. Why is that important for a school? Why should they care? When they're still trying to find money to pay their teachers.
That is an excellent question. And you literally started out our conversation today, Dr. Marino, talking about we know the impact that the teacher has in the classroom and their wellness and how that impacts the student. It's the same thing with the school environment. When a school doesn't have an understanding that human beings thrive when they are whole, and every part of you must be whole. Yes. And the wholeness of a school includes the mind, body, spirit connection of an individual coming up.
Yes.
Then you realize that it's not separate from the other. They're synonymous. That you come in an environment where there needs to be an atmosphere and openness to realize people, human beings, operate in a physical and emotional realm. And the wellness in what we're seeing is not understanding that has manifested in lower outcomes for students. It has manifested in data that reflects the health and well-being of teachers. Our manual covers all of that. In doing that, the environment of the school begins to decay. We have data all over the world that shows that individuals are falling apart in every workspace, but most importantly in school systems, because they haven't created a culture that embraces your wholeness, that you can't teach anything if you're not optimal in your well-being and your psychological and your emotional state. Mm-hmm. And trying to repress that has not only increased, unfortunately, we have seen depression in students, administrators and teachers all over the planet. We have seen increases in suicide, unfortunately, because schools have not embraced an understanding from the students all the way down to the principals, administrators, educators. Everybody in that category has wanted to not live because we haven't made wellness a priority. So that is our call to action, that we have to understand. We know that labels are not always comfortable when you don't understand the meaning of them. Mm-hmm. So we try to break it down. This doesn't mean that you have an impediment, because you need to create an environment to take care of yourself. It means that we are making it a priority. And when we make health and wellness, just like nutrition had become a priority at one time, right? Everyone talks about nutrition. Yeah, they talk about your physical health. Well, we know that mental was never supposed to be left out of that equation. Mm-hmm. And that stigma around it must be dismantled now. Because if not, we will not see the wellness of a new society. All this pandemic, if we've learned anything beyond all of it, is that without taking care of your mental, your psychological health, nothing else operates. So the priority for schools to look at establishing wellness clinics, wellness hubs, we call them, curriculums that will infuse understanding mindfulness, allowing for educators like ourselves to come in and help you and train and be, not give you something other to do, but come to relieve you of something and be able to pour into you. I can see a whole paradigm shift taking place when we make that a priority, Dr. Marino and Dr. Moore.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. That is a call to action. And it's definitely a call to action, because you cannot separate your emotional wellness, your mental health from anything else. And this is what, you remember Dr. Phil all those years ago, when Dr. Phil, I don't watch him anymore. I shouldn't be saying that, but years ago, when I had to get used to this live thing. Anyway, so he used to say, when he would have audience and he would have people come up with their issues, and they'll tell him why something is what they're doing is right and stuff. And he will ask them and he will say, well, so how's that working for you?
That's right.
How's it working? How is it working for you? So basically what I'm saying is all of the things we've been doing. So you don't like the term mental health and you don't want to focus on mental health, but how is what you've been doing till now working for you?
Right.
You know, for these schools, obviously there's an issue. Obviously we have the high rate of stressors amongst teachers. In the United States, teaching and nursing have become the tied for the first place of the most stressed profession in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'm almost sure that that can be replicated across the globe. You know,
Yes.
and so there's all of the stressors there. The things that are happening. We have all the financial stressors are there for those who are private entities. We have keeping good teachers. We have high rates of turnover. We have student academic issues. We have behavioral issues. All kinds of things that have been happening. The school district spend money on whatever is new, whatever the new thing is. You know, you got training in this. How many trainings have you attended? I'm sure all of you can tell me all kinds of trainings you've attended. I remember. I mean, it's training for this, training for that, training for that. All of these things that we're doing. We coming and we say, the one thing you are missing that is not in this equation is the educator's wellness. If you put it back into the system, if you put it back and you focus on this, maybe you're not going to need to do all of this going around the same mountain all the time, and we can actually get a new result, a new result from this, right? Because a different result from this. It's going to be new, it's going to be different. But the schools need a paradigm shift. You need a paradigm shift. And this is one of the reasons we wrote the book the manual. It's not a book, it's a manual. It's a training manual that we wrote this before the pandemic.
Yes, sir.
We just wrote it. We wrote this book 2 years ago. You know, we wrote it 2 years ago, and it is a commit. It was a commitment. I mean, we had weekends or weekdays where we would sit there for hours trying to figure out what's going to go into the book. It took a year for us to get this book situated, and we found out we kept adding to it, or we kept trying to edit it. And so I just told Dr. Kafi, I said, look, I think what we have is enough, because at this point it's 254 pages, right? So we already have a lot, but each time we looked at it, we added something else. And I guarantee you, if we went back today, we would add something else. But as we were talking today, I remember something. I said, oh, we should put that in the book. So we'll just have different editions of it. So what I am asking everyone, and it's invest in training.
Yes.
Invest in training. Invest in training. Training is your friend. If you want your staff to know something, you have to train them. So invest in training and invest in mental wellness training. This is what we do. So if you bring us to your campus, and it's not just us, there's different people who do it, but I just know us. And so if you bring us to your campus, you bring us to your school, you bring us to your organization, we literally will help you create exactly what you need in terms of this wellness school. Not only train your teachers, but also consult with you in what you can put in place in order to have a system that produces prosperity, not just for you, for your teachers, for your students, and for the staff. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah? That's what we're going to do.
That's really good. Really good. Really good. Really good.
So Lolly, it's up to you. Go ahead. It's your turn.
I mean, I think to invest in training is one of the best advice, things that information that's coming out from this setting, because I think a lot of people now understand what mental wellness or emotional wellness means, but how to transfer transform that into into action within their organization is where I think we're falling down. I think people know that if a staff member is stressed, they need time off, they need this, they need that, but they don't really know how to put it into place. So the training is really what schools need to invest in, and they're beginning to bring trainers in to schools. They're beginning to do that, but it's a little bit slow, and maybe not all trainers provide exactly what we're talking about. So it's very important that schools start to look at organizations like yourselves and trainers like yourselves to be able to bring in the real hands-on practical training ideas that they can put together to bring wellness into the schools, starting with mindfulness, or even just connecting with the right person, just having talk therapy, having rooms that they can go into to relax. I mean, it's there's a lot, but I think we've started. There is the start of a paradigm shift, if you may, at the moment. What I fear the most is the fact that with this pandemic, we're not seeing the real impact on teachers and children and parents. We're not really seeing it yet. And there's a lot that has gone on that we haven't seen. Call it the iceberg effect, I don't know. But you have things just brewing. And I feel that the earlier we get people in to understand that we have to face the emotional and the spiritual aspects of what teachers, are going through in their health, the earlier we do that, the better. I do think that teachers are just trying to hold the fort down because they've got to have a salary. But there are things that are happening. I mean, that it's very difficult to say, but coping with just planning alone is massive. And then you also have the issue where teachers have to deal with the emotional problems that our students are coming in with, self-harming, inability to just even think straight, inability to do an assignment. So our teachers have to face these students and do that. So we have a lot to do. There's a lot of work to be done in schools when it comes to, wellness. And it's not just the teachers, it's a school-wide approach that is needed. Right. A school-wide approach so that everybody knows that this is a safe place. We talked about safe, and when we were talking about safe, I was thinking, well, I'm not really just implying that safe is just wearing the mask. Right. I'm talking about the fact that when I go into the school, I'm hoping that somebody is watching out for me too, emotionally. They see me about to break. Can they say, okay, Lola, I'm going to take your class for you for 2 minutes. You just leave the room. Can they see? Can they sense? Can they react to me? Do I feel safe, not just physically, but do I feel safe emotionally in this environment? Absolutely. So there's a lot more going on than just that what meets the eye.
Yes, absolutely. And there's a projection. It's been said that post-pandemic depression, post-pandemic anxiety levels, post-pandemic disorders are on the rise already. Correct. And it's going to continue to increase. And so we are in our field, we're anticipating that. We're already seeing it. It's not even anticipating, we're already seeing it. We're seeing people that are more anxious than ever. People who are just different types of symptoms that they're like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't sleep at night. I don't know what's wrong with me. And they just want to know. So yes, Lola is right. It's correct. Like that, we're just scratching the surface. And schools have to prepare for this. Educators have to prepare for this. When you are in the throes of trauma, when you are traumatized in a way, or when you're high stressed in ways, you're not able to be innovative. You're not able to be creative. And when we're talking about fundings, you're talking about money, right? Dr. Kafu was talking about money. It's part of the dimensions, finances. Well, if you are that stressed out teacher, if you're that stressed out educator, it's difficult for you to be creative because one of the things that happens in the brain when trauma is active is the creative side of you is isolated. You can't really think. You can't innovate. And so, which is why you find out that you keep doing the same thing and you're not really sure, you can't create new things. Right. But once you deal with the trauma, once you reduce and you triage it and you're well, guess what happens? Innovation in schools. We need innovative schools. We need schools that are coming up with brilliant ideas. We need schools that are not just a status quo, that need a paradigm shift. No matter where you are in the world, I am of the opinion, and I know this is true, that giftings and talents are evenly distributed. They have to be, because God is not a respecter of persons. So talents and giftings are evenly distributed across the globe. In the ghettos of Sudan and in the penthouses in Europe, there's no one that is more talented than the other. We're able to craft the talents because of environment, access, and different things. But talents is evenly distributed. The reason why the innovation is not being engineered in certain places is because of trauma. It's because of high stressors. It's because of what's going on in the mind. So when we're talking about making your school trauma informed, or making your school mental health safe, this is what we're talking about. One of the things we're talking about is allow your teachers and your staff and your administrators, allow them to heal so that they can innovate, so that they can be creative, so that you can get more money, so that you can pay your teachers. You see what I'm saying? This is all. This is what is going on. So there is a high correlation with mental wellness and creativity and innovation. And when there's creativity and innovation, guess what we have? We have money that follows it.
It's true.
Yes.
We have money that follows it. So that's will be my final say for today. So the rest of you, let us hear you. Let's see if we have any questions. No questions, just comments. Okay. We're just commenting. So how about last words? Let's have last words. Dr. Kafi and then Miss Lola.
Well, I hope that the message got out today that if the community within the schools create wellness programs and allow for trainings to be a part of the institutionalized aspect of education, we will see better outcomes. It also saves money. Health costs reduces when we know that systems have wellness programs. The retention, as Lola mentioned, a lot of them, educators are not coming back. Wellness programs increases retention. Data says over 50%. We know the impact that wellness programs have on morale. We talk about the environment, the morale increases. So my message today would be, please, all of you who are in the position that have the influence to align these programs, establish them so that we can begin to not only focus on the individual, which becomes isolated. We know that if an environment is not healthy, even when an individual is, everything else still doesn't fall into place. So I'm advocating today for the wellness programs to be established and for the creating of wellness education be a priority.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Ms. Williams.
Same on this side too. I think, we need to look at increasing the number of courses that are done in staff development days, wellness courses, put them in staff development days as a priority. If we're talking about doing planning and we're talking about differentiation in the class, all of those things are secondary. The real thing that you need is really the wholeness of the staff member, the whole holistic health of the staff member. And so of the staff, or the staff themselves. So you really do need to look at how to make your staff development programs a little bit more robust and more holistic with this kind of approach. So consider, getting that on board, and then you would see the productivity that you want in your teachers.
Absolutely. I was looking at the Facebook, our Facebook page, and who joined and who didn't join. And so what usually happens is that people watch the video after we've done it. I found that that's what usually happens. But the good news is today is actually also on YouTube, so people will get access to it, because look, freely you have received, freely give. So that's what we're doing. We hope you have learned something today that would help you. I hope you've learned something today. We talked about job crafting. We talked about the 8 dimensions of education wellness. We talked about the safety. We talked about a lot of things that can lead to your paradigm shift today, even if you just selected one of those things. And you said, my school will do this one thing. And my school will do this one thing. If that's all you did today, then you would have a more a productive school year. And that's what we're all wishing for all the teachers who are going back to school. I wish you well. I hope that this will be a season of healing for all of us, a season of productivity, because look, people are struggling, and we want to say that we hear you, and we know these things will get better. It will get better if we do something, not just that it will get better by and by. It will get better if we do something. So we hope we have deposited something with you today that will take you to a next level. I want to appreciate the guests in the house. We actually know their family now. I don't know their guests. Miss Lola Manuel Williams and Dr. Monica Caffey, who is the co-author with me on the wellness and the educator's wellness manual. And I want to appreciate you. I want to thank you guys for joining me today. And we have one last week, which is next week. We have one last week, and it's funny because we did it right before the mental health month, which is May, but which is okay. This was just a segue to that, to jumpstart everything. So it will be our last week. That will be week number 4, right? Because we promised them 4. It will be week number 4. So come back next week when we will answer your questions. Yes. Question and answer time. Ask questions about your school. Ask questions about yourself. It's a Q&A, and we're ready to respond. If we don't know, we'll tell you we don't know, and then we'll find out. I'll be right back. But look, the amount of years of experience on this show alone is a lot. So let's do this, and have a good rest of your evening. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.